The Crime That Never Was by Barbara Ann Machin. Narrated by Tom Fria. Chapter 1. Julia Emery strolled along in the early morning sunshine, making her way to the bank she worked at. It was early March, and the weather was just changing. It was still a little cool, and she made sure she had a thick coat and scarf on. It was a smart mohair camel color, with a red silk scarf and red court shoes, with matching bag and gloves. She would change her shoes to a pair of flat ones which she kept in her locker at work. But she always liked to walk to work when the weather was good, and she never did feel smart unless she was wearing a heeled shoe when outside. She had the foresight to carry an umbrella with her just in case it decided to rain. This morning the air smelled fresh and crisp, and it felt good to have a little gentle exercise. In the winter, she would take a short bus ride to work. She was always glad of the bus in the winter. Humming to herself as she walked past the park gates, she smiled at the thought that soon all the plants would be in bloom. She would then take a shortcut through the park, although she wouldn't get home any quicker because she always lingered when the nights were light. There was always lots of people about, either jogging or sitting on the park benches. Julia could then admire all the bright colors of the vast array of plants. Living on her own in a small block of flats in Bristol on Sherborne Road, she would just travel back home to Cornwall to visit her mother and father at holiday time, as her parents lived in St. Ives, a small but pretty fishing port. Her long dark chestnut hair had begun to spring out of the chignon that she styled it in. She would have to secure it as soon as she got to work. Her eyes were a hazel color that would change depending on her mood. Julia worked on the business accounts at the bank. She was also the assistant manager, and all the customers knew her. At 28, she hadn't met her Prince Charming yet. However, there was still plenty of time. She was quite happy pleasing herself. As she turned the corner, she was in sight of the bank. Increasing her speed, she was soon walking towards the side door, where she would let herself in. The security guard would already be there, and he would stand at the side door until all the staff had entered, and the front entrance had been opened for business. He would then go to the front entrance. Wishing Julia a cheery good morning, she replied, "Good morning, Frank. It looks as if the weather's going to pick up. Let's hope we're going to have a nice month." Placing her key in the door, she entered, and as she shut it behind her, she was careful, making sure that it was securely closed behind her before entering the code for the inside security door. The alarm had begun to peep, and she quickly disabled it before it went off. Julia was soon followed by Herbert Jones, the manager. They quickly exchanged greetings. Herbert then went to check any cash balances that had been left in the individual roller safes, to see how much the cashiers had in bundles. He would work out how much they would perhaps need to draw from the main safe. He didn't like to keep too much out in the tills at one time. Once he had done this, he went to his office to take his coat off. Julia had made her way to the locker room, taking her coat off and putting her hair back more securely in her chignon. She took her uniform jacket out of her locker, put it on, and smoothed it down. Her uniform suit was dark gray and sported the bank logo, Colonial Bank. Once she had placed her flat shoes on, she was ready to make coffee. They would perhaps manage to get a drink as they came in. Looking in the mirror, she thought, "I'm not that bad looking. Perhaps I—"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?